happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's going on? I am excited. College football is back. Yes, sir. College football is finally back. I couldn't be more excited. If you're looking at this face and listening to this voice, you are officially on the hot seat. I'm your esteemed host, Smoke. Y'all know what we do on the hot seat, man. We set somebody's ass on fire. And whose ass are we setting on fire today? My Florida State Seminoles. Yes, sir. My beloved Florida State Seminoles, man. You looking at that scribble right there, that's an autograph. You know who that is? The greatest defensive back to ever play football. That's Neon Deion Primetime Sanders right here. This was a gift given to me by a very, very good, close friend of mine, and it's the gift that keeps on giving. I love this thing. But let me get it out of the way because y'all know I like to talk with my hands and shit. So we're going to do a college football preview later on this week, but just wanted to take a time out, send this out to all my Noles fans, Noles Nation. We're going to get into it's not really a preview of sort, but just these are the things I think we need to be successful this season. We're not going to spend too much time talking about what we already know, which would be how good Marvin Wilson is, how good Tamarion Terry is, how good Cam Akers is. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about that. I think all of the beat writers and all the publications who cover Florida State have done enough of that. What I'm going to spend my time talking about is, again, the keys to a successful season. And before going any further, let's go ahead and address the elephant in the room, right? The elephant in the room is the offensive line. No need to beat a dead horse. What can I say that hasn't already been said about the offensive line, right? But I get it. I get everybody's concern. I get everybody's in wait-and-see mode because of the offensive line. Hell, I am. But I am vastly more confident in this offensive line than the clusterfuck we saw last year. One of the more important things is a lot of the guys who you saw at the last game last season, you won't see them this season. So change here is good. One thing that worries me about the offensive line is the depth. And not only we're not just talking about depth, but you're looking at when you talk about the drop-off from first string to second string as it relates to talent and as it relates to experience, the drop-off is massive. I have all the faith in the world in Mr. Randy Clements, the new offensive line coach. I think he's going to work wonders with this offensive line. I've been hearing a lot of things coming out of fall camp, more importantly about the health of a Mr. Jawan Williams, who a lot of our hopes and prayers hinge on, right? I can't count how many what-the-fuck moments I saw Jawan Williams produce last year, but to find out he played literally with one arm, he couldn't bench press more than 225 pounds. He only weighed 273 pounds. The reports now are he weighs, I think, somewhere close to 315, and he can bench press almost 450 pounds.
What have you seen the biggest improvement in yourself personally since last season?
My confidence, I was like a lot underweight. I was like around 273, and my shoulder was still kind of weakened. So I came, all for the whole summer this off season. I just been grinding, working. I got my weight up to like 315, so I'm real confident. I feel good, and I just love coming out here to work.
Has this year really felt like a reset almost coming off last year? And how nice is it if so?
Yeah, so it's just like just coming out. So it just feel like I've been renewed. You know what I'm saying? I had to come out with a whole new mindset. Just keep pushing no matter how stuff is and what has been said. Just keep looking forward and keep getting better.
How much stronger do you feel now than you did this time last year, or for the season at all?
Oh, I'm a lot stronger. Last season when I had because that summer I had just got cleared and I wasn't even lifting. I couldn't even lift 225. Now I'm like benching like 415.
So those are all good signs. I like to see his footwork improve. He seems athletic enough, right? He seems athletic enough to hold down their position, but he needs to be more consistent. He needs to get his confidence back. One other note about the offensive line. I know everybody is excited about Dante Lucas playing left guard. God damn it, I'm excited about Dante Lucas playing left guard, but let's curb our expectations for the moment. Mike Otto is the incumbent at that position, and I understand that the sexy pick is to put Dante Lucas in that position, but let's pump our brakes on putting a true freshman on an already bad offensive line or an already unseasoned offensive line, right? Mike Arnold does have more reps. He does have more experience. He has had more starts. I'm not talking better because We haven't seen real bullets fly past Dante Lucas, so we don't know who the fuck is better. We're just assuming. We're going off the reports. And he seems like a dog. I'm not taking that away from him. And the better player should play. But if the coaching staff agrees to go with Mike Arnold, don't be ready to cast all your judgment and all you son of a bitches and all you fuck yous upon the coaching staff. Let's see how it plays out because, again, he is a true freshman. That said, that's about as much time as I'm going to spend about the offensive line. I do agree and I do understand that our hopes and prayers of this season hinge off what they can do. But one more thing before I go. They have to stay healthy. If they don't stay healthy, I'm not going to say we'll find ourselves back where we were last year, but we're going to find ourselves back where we were last year. So let's hope and pray that they stay healthy and we'll probably have a productive season. Second order of business. I don't think it should be understated the importance of bringing Kendall Burns to Florida State. In recent memory, never has a need been met with a want as it relates to the marriage of Florida State's offense to Kendall Burns. I don't think people are giving enough attention and enough publicity to what could potentially happen when this meets that. This is a perfect marriage. Perfect marriage. I have been a Kendall Burns fan since the Baylor days. I can't speak enough about how good of an offensive mind, how good of an offensive coach this guy is. He's a fucking genius. And him married to the skill and the talent he has, he's never seen this type of talent on a field that he's able to coach. And he's coached some really good players. RG3 when he was at Baylor, you look at Corey Coleman, Josh Gordon. I'm probably forgetting a few people, and if I do, excuse me. But he's coached some really good players, but he's never seen a Tamarian Terry. Maybe he has in Josh Gordon. He's never seen a Cam Akers. You know, he's never seen a fleet of receivers. Like, he's never had 2 5-star running backs at his disposal. You understand? And also, him being able to mask a weakness and center what he does well around the talent that he has. And what I mean by that is a good coach is not just going to have a system, right? He's going to have a system in place, of course. But if you get a player who's special, if you get players who are special, you're not just going to try to make them fit your system. You're going to coach and scheme around those players to make sure that they put your team in the best position to win and produce. I think he does that at a highly alarming rate. And I don't think there's anything to be swept under the rug. I know the offensive line is the key to all our dreams and hopes this season. I get it. But whatever deficiencies the offensive line may still have, you're looking at a guy who can do something about that in the Kendall Burns, a guy who can hide some of those things. I think that's something that we got away from last season. And a lot of what we did last season, I want to say a lot, but some of the things we did last season wasn't really on the offensive line, like having a quarterback who doesn't recognize blitz packages, having a quarterback who won't step up in the pocket, having a quarterback who won't actually run an RPO, among other things. Having running backs who won't run within the system, meaning they won't run within the scheme. I get it. But having the Kendall Burns here, everything makes sense. And I think that is highly important to the success of this season. The schedule. This schedule is a blessing. I know people don't like to use the term easy schedule. Fuck that. That's exactly what this is. This is one of the easiest goddamn schedules Florida State has had. Probably the easiest schedule they've had since 2013. This is a very, very easy schedule. When you're coming off a 5-7 season and you still have question marks littered all around your team, this type of schedule is what you need to regain confidence and get the program back on track, which is what Willie Taggart desperately needs to do. So everybody is they're pumped about going into Clemson potentially being 5-0. I get it. I'm pumped too. But let's not just gloss over Boise State and Virginia. That game at Virginia could be tricky. That game at Virginia could be an L based off how we're performing when we go in. We get somewhat of a preseason game before we get to the Virginia game to work out any type of kinks we may possibly have after the Boise State game. But don't gloss over Virginia. And if I say Virginia State, excuse me, but don't gloss over Virginia. They're a good ball club. And you know how well they kind of imploded last year. The coach kind of lost control of the team, but don't let that think that they're just going to roll over for us, right? Schedule aside, probably my biggest concern is the defense. And I don't know how fair that is, but it is what it is, right? Moving to an odd front. And I think the biggest issue with the odd front is, do we have the players to support that change? Now, I think our defense has skills all around. I think they have talent all around. I'm talking about good talent. But again, is what Harlan Barnett trying to do going to be conducive of success with what he has to work with? Now, easily, and this is outside of the offensive line, my biggest worry, my biggest, I guess, piece of frustration stems from the fact that I don't know how the fuck we're going to generate a pass rush. I think when you look at the 3 down linemen we'll have, I think it's reported it's over 1,000 pounds of beef on that front line. You got Marvin Wilson, who is easily the best player on the team. You got Big Robert Cooper, and you got Durden. I got no problem with those guys. It's the guys you got coming off the edge that bother me. Listen, man, it's time for Kendall to step up. It's a money year for him. It's a money year for a lot of guys on this team because all the juniors on that team, they were part of a hell of a recruiting class. It's time for him to step up. 6'7", 260 pounds, elite athleticism, good bend around the corner, good speed around the corner, very lengthy, very rangy in his pursuit to the quarterback. Listen, man, I understand he's been hurt. I get it. But as far as I think he's just coming off a hamstring injury a week or so ago. It's time to put up a shut up. Because if there's a guy who can actually set the tone for this defense, it's not just going to be Marvin Wilson. He can only do so much. It's going to have to be Joshua Kendall. And you look at what's behind him, it's just more fucking question marks. I think this is going to be Janarius Robinson's 4th season at Florida State. As if like he's a great strong side defensive end, but he doesn't do much as it relates to producing the pass rush. We don't necessarily know what we're going to get out of a Leonard Warner. We don't know what we're going to get out of an Amari Gainer. We hope for the best. We've heard decent to good things about those guys, but we have no fucking clue what they're going to do. No idea. So, being that we are hoping for the best, those would be deemed question marks. And there are some more question marks littered around that defense, sprinkled around that defense, rather. In the spring, we were told that Hamza Nasruddin and Jaden Lawson were going to swap positions, so to speak. Here we are in fall camp, and they've been moved back to their respective positions. I don't know if I agree with that. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm just saying I don't know if I'm going to agree with it. Here's why. I read somewhere, and this is the take I had on Jaden Lawson would be coming into Florida State. He was a former 5-star recruit at safety coming out of California. Listen. He moved down to linebacker, and he played well. He was one of the most consistent defensive players we had. He was one of the most consistent players on the team, period. But are we really wasting his talent, what he could do, as it relates to how he could help the defense? Are we really wasting his talent at linebacker? Would he be better suited at safety? You can look at Hamza Nasruddin, highly talented 4-star recruit out of South Carolina, right? 6'4", a little bit over 200 pounds. He has deficiencies in coverage. So it makes sense to bring him down in the box because he can cover ground with the best of them. He's rangy, he's athletic, and he's long. Having him in the box, having a nose for the football, to me, that makes all the sense in the world. Jaden Lawson Woodby had a lot of range when he was in high school as it relates to playing the safety position. And I get why you put Jaden Lawson Woodby at linebacker. You got tight ends running drag routes, running up the seam. You got running backs running flats, running Z routes. I get it. He can keep up with all of those guys. But at the same token, whether you want to call what happened in the Louisville game miscommunication, bad coaching, or whatever, the middle of the field was always open. That didn't change. It shored up a little bit, but the easiest way to attack Florida State was the middle of the field. Who you blame for that is your business, whether it be Harlan Barnett, whether it be the personnel on the field, whether it be Sides Fagan losing confidence, whether it be moving Stanford Samuel to his proper role at cornerback. I don't know, but I do know a constant mainstay there was Hamza Nasruddin. So he's not without fault here. So you'd have to ask yourself, does it make a lot of sense to have him back there? I don't know. I was more of a fan of swapping those two. I'm more of a fan that in passing downs, you have Dontavius Jackson playing Mike, and you have Jaden Lawson Whitby to the left of him and Hamza Nasruddin to the right of him. And you plug somebody else in the place of a Hamza Nasruddin on the back end. I think that makes all the sense in the world as well. One move I can say that I am extremely excited for is to see what Levante Taylor is going to do in that money role, in that free safety role. That could be huge. Number one cornerback in the country when he came out. I think he was the number 7 recruit overall. You look at his stature, small stature. He's a small build kind of guy. Stocky, but, small stature. Extremely athletic, though. Extremely athletic. When he came in, I was under the assumption that he was going to play that role that you saw LaMarcus Joyner get to the league in. That role you saw Jalen Ramsey play at second year at Florida State, where he's playing somewhat of a star position. To me, it makes all the sense in the world. He's a similar build of my man LaMarcus Joyner, and also it was evident that he was a really big fan of Tyrann Mathieu from LSU, Honey Badger. Same build, same kind of skill set, same game. We put him at corner. And he didn't do bad. Like, last year was rough for him playing with an injured back and all, but he didn't do bad his first 2 years at cornerback. And I'm not saying it's a bad idea to keep him there, but I think it makes more sense to put him at a role to where he's able to roam around, move safely. I heard he is having a great camp by all accounts. By whomever is reporting, they're saying that he's been lighting it up on the back end of their defense. And to me, that's going to be a big game changer in what we do this season. One thing we have to clean up, and if we're talking about keys to success, one thing we're going to have to clean up is the pre-snap penalties, the mistakes, the dumb penalties, getting some turnovers. How many times as a Florida State fan did you have a scratch your head moment like, why in the fuck did you do that? Whether it be DJ Matthews returning a big punt and you blatantly see somebody blocking at somebody else in the back, right? I'm not going to call any names, but I think we all know that it was consistent. There were people who were consistently doing these things. When you would notice that we couldn't even get lined up right as it relates to wide receivers, not covering each other on the line, things of that nature. You wanted to run an up-tempo offense, and nobody knew how to run an up-tempo offense, it seemed like, because nobody could get lined up. I don't know whether there was a miscommunication as far as the calls coming in. There were just a plethora of mistakes across the board. It seemed like we couldn't do anything right. So these mistakes would turn a 3rd and 5 into a 3rd and 15. We weren't built to deal with 3rd and 15s last year, mostly because of the deficiencies up front and having a stubborn quarterback. We can't do that this year. It'll be detrimental to everything that we're trying to accomplish, everything that you see Kendall Burns implementing. It won't help at all. And again, I think we have the skill set across the board on offense to do this type of shit. You dig? How many teams in Power 5 football have 2 5-star running backs at their disposal? How many wide receiver rooms are better from top to bottom than what you see at Florida State? You can probably count them on one hand. The skill is there. We just can't keep shooting ourselves in the foot when we're trying to get to where we're trying to get to. I don't think we are equipped to come from behind 21 points anymore. I don't know if we ever were to begin with, but I know definitely last year, once we got in the hole, we just kept digging deeper by having silly-ass penalties. We need to be able to create some goddamn turnovers and hold on to the ball at all costs. These are all things that will be conducive of success. So, to recap, offensive line has to stay healthy. We have to. It is imperative. We have to produce some sort of pass rush to help out that talent we got on the back end, because that's, as it relates to DBs alone, we have one of the more talented DB rooms in the country. They look bad when the quarterback is able to hold the ball for 6 seconds. You follow me? Willie Taggart is giving the keys to Kendall Burns. I got no problem with that. Stop shooting ourselves in the foot. I think if all these things come together, if they mesh well with what Harlan Barnett is trying to do defensively, we're looking at a 9-3 season, possibly a 10-2 season. Anything less than 8-4 wouldn't be accepted. Anything less than 4, to me, is the equivalent of 5-7. I mean Willie Taggart by when I say he's trying to right the ship. He's trying to change the culture. He's trying to get these kids back to where they want to go. He's trying to get the program back to where it needs to be. And I think he's the man for the job. But there needs to be a buy-in, not just from the players, but from everybody. Hint, hint, wink, wink. There has to be a buy-in from everybody. And before I go, let me say this. As I'm dropping this video, Florida State sits, I think, number 9 in the country as it relates to recruiting. If you look at the top 10 in recruiting, as you know, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Florida, look at all those teams who are in the top 10 as it relates to recruits. How many of those teams finished last season 9-7? I'm sorry, 5-7. How many of those teams finished last season 5-7? That says something. Hear me and hear me good. If Willie Taggart wins, this shit is over. If Willie Taggart wins, it's over. You will not be able to out-recruit him. You won't. This guy is infectious. It's something about him. He has the it factor. People were too quick to cast their fuck yous and fuck offs and damn Willie Taggarts at the end of this season. This is what he's known to do. This is why, well, partly why he was brought to Florida State. He turns programs around. He has a track record of it. He's turned every program around that he's been the head coach of. This will be the 4th school. He's not here by mistake. He's here by design. And I'm telling you, if he wins, you can hang it up. You can hang it up, blow the whistle, pull the plug, it's over. He will start recruiting to the likes that you would see from an Alabama or a Clemson, maybe even a Jimbo Fisher. He won't miss. There's something about this guy, and the recruits know it. There are plenty of recruits from the last recruiting cycle that would have committed. I'm talking about top-tier recruits that would have committed had Florida State just produced a half-decent product on the field. A lot of the things that happened last season were out of his realm of control. But now that he's getting more control of this program, you'll start seeing the results of it. So for the 5th time, if Florida State wins, he will start recruiting his ass off, and there's nothing nobody can do about it. I'm going to leave y'all with that, man. I appreciate your time. As always, man, hit them like buttons for me. Hit them subscribe buttons for me. I greatly appreciate it. I am trying to build something special here, and I can't do it without you all. So everybody who's watched the other videos, all the text messages and phone calls and emails I've received for the support, I cannot thank you enough. Please continue to stay behind me because I'm going to give you this goddamn content every time I get behind this microphone. And as always, I will see you next time. Y'all be good.